Welcome, my name is Pavel Dukovny, and I'm a lead developer advocate here at MongoDB. Welcome to our weekly AI show where we live code and unfold some of AI's coolest demonstrations. As always, please leave a comment where you're joining from. If you're joining us live, leave a comment, shout out from where you are. Hope you are excited because we have a very nice agenda today. This week, I'm also diving into the low code world where we have some very neat new players build platforms to allow almost no code programming to build AI and specifically AI agents and AI workflows and integrate that with a bunch of other very interesting and common used tools. So today we'll be using n8n. Okay, so this is n8n is widely used by a lot of different companies. It has a very nice UI to build those really neat workflows. It allows us to actually onboard and begin exploring for free for the first 14 days. So you can actually build some really great POCs and see how they work and implement that into your applications. Obviously, I've registered and I've played around here with some of the workflows. We're going to touch that in a minute. But the nice thing about the n8n is a very nice documentation, which allows you to easily understand how you can build the workflows, how you can use already pre-built stuff that they've shared. There's also things that you can use from the community. So there's a lot of plugins and a lot of great workflows that you can reuse. And the nice thing, they also have a very neat documentation on how you can contribute and how you can build your own components and your own workflows. So obviously we are from MongoDB, so they have this nice integration built in to use MongoDB. So there's something called the MongoDB node, and it requires this MongoDB credentials, which is basically the connection to our cluster. And we're going to be using Atlas for this demonstration, but it can connect to a variety of MongoDB instances, and it is able to perform the following operations up to date. So like aggregate, delete, find and replace, insert, update, right? So we can build on top of MongoDB, on top of the main CRUD operations, which we have support for. This is what we're going to use. Unfortunately, there is still no native or even community support for our vector search, and I'll be working on that pretty soon. I'll be building a community-based vector search integration, and hopefully we can contact n8n at some point and maybe make it official. But this is our Atlas cluster. So to people who are new to Atlas, it's really easy to set up a cluster, right? You just go to your project on Atlas, you go to cloud.mongodb.com, and you basically create a cluster, right? It's pretty easy to just go through the wizard and create your cluster, and it's really nice. And I wanted to make sure that I will see our cluster here. So this is the this cluster, and we're going to be using a data set for movies today, right? So we're going to be doing movies sample flicks, right? The movies collection. So basically, this pretty known data set where we have a bunch of documents around movies, and we're going to build some recommendation agent for our movies. So that's going to be really cool. So in order to connect to the cluster, I need to do two things. Obviously, I need to allow my network access. So in my case, I just allowed access for anywhere at the moment, just for the ease of connectivity. And also I can grab my connection string by clicking the connect button and just getting a connection for a driver or for Compass, right? So we can just copy that. I already preset that within n8n. So as soon as we log in and we create our first project, we have this home page, right? And within the home page, we can create workflows, which is this tab over here. We can also define credentials. We can define credentials from within the components, or we can define them up front. So if we know we're going to use some specific API, we can just first go here. For example, if we want to use OpenAI, right, we can click on it, do continue, and then we need to place our API key, optionally organization ID. the usual stuff. I've already pre-built an Anthropic account, an OpenAI account, and a MongoDB account, right? So those are all already useful for me. So my MongoDB account is basically my connection string, and I see that the connection is successful. The other ones are my API keys, right? So far, so good. Let's move to the workflows, right? So as soon as we add a workflow, we are hitting this page, right? Which is like, let's start our first step. And we have this editor and execution tab. So the execution tab will obviously show any execution that we will perform or test. And the editor tab allow us to create the workflow. So let's see what we have here. So we can do different triggers, but what I want to build specifically is an AI agent, right? So once I click an AI agent, right? So this is the agent. It goes immediately into the editing mode. But before I continue to edit, I want to show you that we already get a trigger, and this trigger is a chat message trigger. It comes by default assigned to the AI agent, just because we're gonna use that, right? We're gonna use this chat agent. All right. On the AI agent front, we have a chat model, memory, and tool, right? So those are the components that are required to be added to the AI agent in order for it to work. Now, the only required component, maybe I'll increase it a little bit. The only kind of required component is this chat module, right? Our AI agent cannot work without an LLM. This is where we provide the LLM for it. So let's say we're going to use OpenAI for now. Let's use OpenAI chat module. Once we click that, we want to choose the module, let's say GPT-4o, the famous one, and automatically it was populated with my OpenAI account, right, and credentials. So that's nice. Let's do this. All right, cool. Now it's connected. We can see that the module is here. So we added our AI integration. Very easy. The next thing we need to do is we need to maybe provide it a memory kind of provider, right? I hopefully one day you'll see MongoDB in this list as a memory provider, but for now we'll do the easiest one, which is the buffer memory window, right? So we can add this, and that's it. Our agent is already functioning, right? We can actually launch it and test it, right? So we can say hello, and GPT-4o should respond. Hello, how are you today? And we see the steps that we went during the execution of this workflow, right? We have an AI agent. We went into the window buffer memory, and then we went to our chat module, right? We don't have any specific configuration pre-configured to that agent yet. So it's basically as if we are talking with the OpenAI API, but with some memory provider, which is an in-memory one. All right, cool. So we can see that everything worked, and we didn't actually have any information from our database yet. So even if we say like, what comedy movies are best for a winter night, right? So if we ask that, we'll probably get a generic response because there's no context, right? There's no context. And there's even no, nothing for the AI module to restrain it to something specific. So we see we got some generic advice. What we want to do is we actually want to give it our data set, our movies collection, right? And the way to do it is through tooling, right? We can add a MongoDB lookup tool. But before we do that, we should probably push some settings here, right? So what do we have here? So we have the tool agent. It's a tools agent, right? It's not a conversational agent. It can actually perform pre-configured different tasks. We're going to use it as a tool agent for now. And once we add tools, right, we can actually pick up from the available tools that n8n offers, which is super cool. So we're going to go obviously to our MongoDB tool, right? And we're going to see that either we can set the tool description automatically, or we can actually set it manually, right? So that the default manually is like find, insert, and update documents in MongoDB, and the operation that this specific tool should perform. So it can only perform one specific MongoDB operation per se. Now, what we want to do is we actually want to use the aggregate, right? We want to aggregate our data, and the connection that we're going to use is the MongoDB account. It already have the sample mflix database, which I just showed here. If we go back to our browse collections and we search for movies, this is sample mflix and this is the movies collection. So we can actually, see the collection here. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna just say collection movies. And then here is the interesting part, right? We can write a query. So we can write a query that just, just gets the whatever, the five limit, right? Let's do like that. Right? The top five movies that it finds. Right? If we're gonna keep it that way, we're gonna say this tool is providing the first five movies it edit queries. All right, right? We set up the tool. We just explain what the tool is doing. It's automatically pre-saved, right? We're gonna go here and let's see in settings. This is my OpenAI. So what can we add as an option? Okay, so we can add system message. This is important, right? We wanna give guidance to our agent. So when you're a helpful assistant built to provide movie details in the database. Use the MongoDB app, and let's give it a name. MongoDB aggregate tool to query your data. Right? Pretty straightforward. Let's save that. All right, so let's see what we can do here to make it a little bit better. Yeah, let's rename the node name to be MongoDB aggregate. Rename. All right. So now our system message and the tool name is aligned. Hopefully now the chat will be able to understand. Let's actually reload. No, let's save and sure, I'll rate you later. And let's reload. All right, let's start a new chat. Hello, what movies can you recommend? Right, if we go here, we can see that actually we have an animation of what is going on, right? And we see that actually all of those nodes were visited, right? So now we should see different movies, right? What are those movies? Those movies are actually the result set of our database, right? So the node replied with those specific database movies, and our AI agent responded. And look how nice it actually was able to to figure out that some of those are posters and images and show them in that format, creating also this very nice output with markdown and everything. That's really neat. But this is not enough, right? It just returns the first five. So what I want to do now is I want to improve the aggregate to actually make the agent write my queries for me. So allow the agent an ability to run and facilitate aggregations. So to users who haven't watched my build ship episode, this is what we've done. We've used MongoDB aggregate and insert tools to actually allow reading and writing to the database from our AI agent, making it pretty, autonomous. So I would love to write it again, but I'm gonna just say, here I'm gonna say movie recommendation live streaming. All right, and I'm gonna go here, and I've already kind of poked around with building a MongoDB agent, so I'm just gonna go here and I'm gonna take this as system text. All right, so this system text actually have more information in it. So it actually says, assistant for best movies context. You have tools to search using MongoDB aggregate. you need to provide a MongoDB aggregation pipeline code array as a query input param, right? So you not only need to use the MongoDB aggregate tool, but you should actually pass it a query and, basically do the query based on the use the chat input, which comes from this like a stored parameter of a chat input. I'm gonna query that, copy that, go to home. Yeah, live without saving. Gonna go here and yeah. So basically we can just add it here, right? We added it in text because I want to use that for specifically every chat input. So every chat input might draw another query. So I'm gonna just pre-build the prompt, right? And I also have here a section that I'm gonna just, remove for now, which is for inserting favorite movies. And we're gonna see how that's gonna happen in a few moments. But for now, I just want to adjust the prompt to allow the agent to write aggregation queries and input that. So hopefully I've done everything right and we can store the AI agent. Now we're going to go here into the MongoDB aggregate. And now we are not going to use this query, but we are actually going to use an expression, right? So an expression allow me to actually write pre-built code or like declarative code from the pre-built stuff that n8n allow us. So we can do now, which will allow us like to retrieve the now time, ifs, if empty. But the interesting thing is this from AI. So what does from AI do? From AI actually gets information from the AI and puts it under a specific key. So let's say we have, you know, a from AI name. So we can place it like that, and this will instruct the AI to fulfill the name regarding to the tool description and its own prompt that needs to be filled. If we want to give it more, we can actually say, if we have age, the age of the person, and number. So we have different parameters that can actually define better what do we expect to be passed to that tool. So we're going to using that format. So in our case, we should do something like dollar from AI. It's going to be a pipeline, right? And this is the aggregation pipeline, right? The aggregation pipeline to fulfill the query, right? And honestly, that shocked me a little bit, but it should be a string, although we have a JSON type, but for some reason it expects a string. So I think they're doing like a JSON parsing later on. Oops, where did it run away? Right, and the last parameter is just, a sample aggregation. So let's say we have something like dollar match with dollar rating equals 5, whatever. Doesn't like some of the syntax. Okay, let's see what I wrote wrong. Let's go to home. Let's save this one. Let's go to this agent. Let's see how this thing is pre-built. All right, so it's something with the spacing, but I'm gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna copy this one. It's very similar to what I wrote. Gonna go to home. Hi to everyone joined. I see a lot of people commented on the comments, so welcome everybody. We're in mid-flight of creating that super cool agent with n8n platform. Anyone who joins now, we're just at the very juicy part where we gonna make the agent do our MongoDB queries. So we're at this point that we pointed it to use an aggregation to our movies collection. And now, boom, let's copy that. Yeah, double curly braces. Yes. Boom. All right. Okay, let's save that. And let's see what we can ask. So first of all, we can say hello, and let's see what the response will bring. All right. So now we get a response back. Ooh, this is my old chat. Not sure what happened here. Let's see. Okay, let's try again. Let's reload this thing. Let's do chat. Let's say, hello. Can you recommend on the 5 top buy rating movies? Let's see what it will produce. All right. Okay. I'm wondering if it actually. Okay. So, yeah. So it created a pipeline and it's sorted by rating and limited to 5. So I guess those are the top 5 movies, right? But now, because it's conversational, we can say, I want something from the 2000s. Oh, by the way, I know what's happening here and what's the problem. How does it know what is my document structure? It doesn't, because I'd never provided that. So it guessed some of the data here, right? It might not be even correct. So it just gave me, it sorted by nothing. All right. So let's go back and let's go to this tool and maybe define something better. Like, let's say document structure is, then let's copy one of our documents so we can actually go here and do copy to clipboard, and then we're going to place it here. But I don't want, yeah, there's all those number double stuff, so I'll probably want to trim that number of views. Yeah, I think I have a trimmed down version. Yeah, let's just go to my, yeah, live without saving, to my previous agent. Just copy let's copy this prompt, right? It's very similar, but it has specific data about my files, about my documents, sorry. All right, so now we actually provide here the structure of our document, which is nice because now the AI will be able to know how my documents look like. So now let's save, let's refresh. All right, let's ask again. Hello, what are the top 5 movies by IMDb rating, and make sure they are 1,000 plus. All right, let's see what happens now. Right, we can see that it already passed the aggregation place. All right, okay, so now it gives me a different result. Let's see. Okay, so now it understood that the pipeline is sort IMDb rating limit 10, right? But we will probably get here, probably got movies that are above, like below 2000s. It was filtered out by the LLM, but I don't see it in the query. So let's see if we have that in our document. Let's just increase that so it'll be easier to view that. All right. Do we have a release date here? Runtime, language, released. Yeah, okay. Maybe I need to pinpoint my query better. So let's say, how many comedies were released after? Let's see if it can locate that. There's something with the memory. Let's see the query. So, just for movie context. Yeah. Let's start a new chat. Let's first save. Maybe I didn't save that. Save and start a new chat. Let's ask the question again. How many comedies were released after 2010? It might want to only recommend movies to me because of the explicit instruction. Yeah, so it goes and it uses this IMDb rating. Let me see something. Let's remove that from here, from the system prompt. Let's use the MongoDB aggregate here. Right. Let's save that. Let's refresh. You consider a new execution? I guess so. Chat. How many movies were released in 2010? No, it still goes. This is the same query. You see what's happening here. Oh, so the response genres. All right, let's remove this example. Let's save. Let's go back to my pre-build workflow. So within this workload, we can see that, yeah, we don't have a system prompt here. Didn't do it last time. Let's try to run this query here. How many movies were released in 2010? No. So this one does perform the correct operation. Interesting. This one does the pipeline match year and do a count on total movies. Does it from AI? Yeah, it looks very similar to what I've done there. So I don't know what exactly is the issue at the moment, because it uses the same configuration, exactly the same configuration that I've used before. The only thing I probably here am using the GPT-4o mini, but that shouldn't matter. So it's interesting that the previous one did not perform the same, exactly the same operation. I'm going to go back and dig into that in a few moments. But as you can see, what we are able to do is we are able to build a very intelligent AI agent that can, have conversations, create aggregations, and actually get information for us. Second thing I wanted to do is I wanted to insert some information about my favorite movies. So kind of create a favorite collection. And, as soon as I find a nice movie, I want to store it in that collection. So what I've ended up doing, because the my main problem here, and that like was a little bit of a hazard, was like if I'm going to use a MongoDB tool that is doing an insert, I need to specify the field names, right? So I can specify a field name dynamically, but yeah, gonna be right back. There's some technical difficulties. Hello. Yeah, sorry. I'm back. Sorry for that. All right. So what the problem is I want to specify here the name and the fields. So I can do that if I'm doing one field, but it's hard to do it from AI, right? Because I want to actually place the values. So what I needed to create eventually was a custom flow. And the nice thing about a custom flow is that I can actually call another whole flow from a different workflow. So in this case, I've created the following. All right, let me just save that and go to home. And here I have created this insert MongoDB workflow. It's really simple. It gets data from whoever is calling this workflow. For example, title bad boys. Right, so it receives like a title and the value, and then it sets those fields in a document, in a JSON document, and then just provides that into a MongoDB insert node. Right, so I had to do this and set a response of success in order to allow AI to set those fields directly. All right, nice. So this is the workflow. This is how it built. Very, very basic. The way it is used by my agent, right, is that it is another tool, and here I am providing, you know, description, and I'm just saying, you need to provide title, received title into this list and expect a response field back, right? So this is what I've done. I'm just calling my other workflow, right? So it was called my workflow, but now it's called insert MongoDB. And now I can save that. And now once we chat with the database, right, we can say, what are the top movies for 2010? And we're gonna receive a list, hopefully, from the agent. It's gonna take us a few seconds. Okay, so it went into, still on the OpenAI chat module. Oh, there was an issue with this execution. Let's see what happened. Maybe I misconfigured something. Maybe it was the tool that I've added. Let's see the execution. Let's go and troubleshoot that. Right. So we got an error, and this error came from the AI. Right. So let's do chat again. Let's just do hello and send. All right. So we got a response. Okay. What are the top movies by rating? Right. Simple question. All right. So now we can actually see it step by step. All right. Okay, now we got a response, and this is the top movies. Let's see what was performed here. Oh, maybe. Oh, I'm in the bad. Leave without saving. Yeah, let's do again. What are the top comedy movies? Let's hope that I didn't mess up anything with my live coding skills. At least we can see how we can debug the system, basically. All right, we got a response. Okay, so now the query was genres comedy, IMDb rating. Okay, now we got the correct query. All right, so we can see here, we have the different movies. And now let's say I really into Super Bob. So let's say save number 5 as a favorite. Okay, I've successfully saved Super Bob as your favorite movie. If you need anything else or want more movie recommendations, feel free to ask. Cool. All right, that was really fascinating. Let's see. Let's go to my favorites collection and see if that was actually done. Oh yeah, here is Super Bob. How nice. All right, that's really cool. So now we can actually create data from our MongoDB agent. Really, really cool. Now, the last thing I wanted to show is once we save that agent and make it, active, we can actually use the code to host it in an external application, right? They allow us this cool CDN embedded thingy where we can point to our specific URL and kind of host that in our application, which is really really cool. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna launch a pre-built small HTML application that I've built that only shows how to use this code within an application. So I just literally copy pasted the code, and we can see here, hopefully you can see that on the right hand side on the bottom, we have this thingy with this pre-built message. We can change that, but we can actually say, what can you do, right? And this one will come from our published agent. So I can help you find information about movies, including their plot, genre, cast members. Pretty cool, right? So we get a pre-built MongoDB powered AI agent that we can actually literally copy paste code into our application and start using, this agent, whether it's a customer service, whether we want to make better accessibility to our application or to our applications in general, or to our docs, right? Like everything, it's pretty easy, right? So I think it's really cool. I'm gonna try and create some of the components that are missing and contribute to n8n. And hopefully you had fun with me building that specific demo. And please stay tuned for articles and information about n8n integration. For now, I really encourage you to go and try MongoDB with n8n. Try to build your AI agent using MongoDB and MongoDB Atlas. Go register to Atlas and try MongoDB at mongodb.com/try. And hopefully join us for some of our next episodes when we're going to bring some cool capabilities into the AI world. All right, this one was a fast one this time, so we were able to cover some really, really neat content and build some cool stuff. So hopefully that was interesting to everybody. Till next time, stay tuned. Bye bye.